Good morning, everybody. It's September 7th or 18th, maybe it is. It's a cool morning. It's like 10 degrees. It rained about 4/10 last night, give or take. Still kind of drizzly rain coming through here, off and on. Humidity is about 97%. And we're trying to dry all this tough wheat that we took, but the dryer has been giving us quite a bit of trouble. Yesterday, I think we only got 3 batches out of it, out of all day. Now, I don't know a lot about dryers. We did get Derek out here who sells them, and he's a little stumped on it as well, so I think he was going to talk to Super Bee themselves and figure out what's going on. Basically, it would do its whole cycle, it would load itself, dry itself, cool itself, call it a day. Call it a weekend. It wouldn't offload, and everything is programmed right. It's supposed to be offloading. We have the right amount of time in there for it to offload. And then when we're going through the charts of what codes, it wouldn't throw up a code. It just went into idle mode, So then we come over and manually offload it. And then we had another problem, was not related to this problem, was it was throwing up a high plenum temp. Basically, it was overshooting. We were setting our temp at about 190, and it was overshooting. It would go all the way up to 230. Obviously, that would trigger something and then shut it down. So we've turned down our propane. We're running propane very low, trying to keep it from heating up too quick. And so we're gonna try this again. That's our flame. I'm told that's good flame. Heat plenum. Just turned on the wet auger. Turns it on, turns it off, turns it on, turns it off. Hey, we fixed our vibrating problem. Fixed. No messing around. So this bin is still pretty full of pretty tough grain. So even though it's 97% humidity and drizzling off and on, we got this fan running. Try to keep some airflow going through. And then we're dumping our semi here. And that was the last load we took off before we shut down. And it's got to be around that 23%. And we left it in the truck for 2 days because we didn't have room for it in the inn. And you could walk across the grain on the top of the truck. We're like, oh, that's not good. We got to get this out of the truck or we're going to be chipping it out of the truck. But yeah, it's a little muddy. I need more gravel in my yard, I guess. A few puddles. That's Timon. He's back from Austria. He's helping with harvest. All done? You can move this thing while it's running. You just quickly move it over and start cracking it. You just can't slide it. You can't retract it, but you can move it. Yeah. The key is once you start running empty there, you just open her up and then just move it over to this one, crack this one, and then sometimes you can shut that one, or you have time to shut that one. These ones are harder. These aren't the Evo hoppers. These are rental trailers. So it dumps up front, dumps at the back. So it's a little harder to do that, but I'll turn it on. Coming out of the truck, that's a good sign. Beauty. We're just gonna go slow with it. All right, so we're putting up a couple hoppers here. And the reason why is like the big flats are by far the cheapest to put up per bushel. But they're also like, they're supposed to be like 55,000 bushels. You can't get 55 in it, probably 50-ish. But that's a lot of grain. And if you get different grades, or if you got, like I grow 6 different crops up here. That's a lot. So you can't just throw it all in one bin. So anyways, these are some 2708s, so 27-foot diameter hopper by 8 rings tall. And we're gonna put up a couple of these. And I know these are on gravel. It looks like they're on gravel, but they're really not. They're on concrete piles. The reason why I put them on concrete piles is I don't want them to settle. So then we just flush the gravel with the pile. We make sure every leg sits on a pile, and then these bad boys aren't going to go anywhere, and they're not going to settle at all. So that's awesome. Unlike my fertilizer bins. So these will be about 17-ish thousand bushels each. And I've kind of done this, like everyone knows that I'm slightly OCD. Slightly. So we got 4,000 bushel 16 by 20 fertilizer bins, or you can put grain in them too. You can't quite get 4,000 bushel in, but for the sake of bin storage, let's just do that, okay? 4,000 bushels, 2106s, 8,000 bushels. So we double it again, we're 17,000 bushels ish. And then if we ever put up some 30,000 bushel hoppers in the future, then we'll double these ones again. And then we can double our 30-some thousand bushel hoppers to get to our 55,000 bushel ish flat bottoms. And then when Chappell takes over, when I'm long time retired, he can double again the 55s and go to 100,000 bushel big flat bottoms if the yard extends out. So we're just doubling again. That way it gives us grain storage options all the way up. That's what we're doing. So anyways, that's the dealio on that. But right now, we would just like to keep this dryer fully operational and get this bin dried, get it moved over, get it hauled, to get it swapped over, because we gotta, everything that goes in that dry bin, it's gotta get put in a flat bottom. So we gotta move it around. And then when it dries down a little bit more, we can go combine some more 20-some%, fill our wet bin, and do all this over again. Yeah, my tailgate is not what it used to be. It was parked in the field at night, and a combine header kissed my tailgate. It was not one of those romantic kisses, all right? Oh my goodness. There it is. Oh. I'm going home. And here it comes. It turned on. That's a good sign. Now will it do it consecutive times? Boy, this stuff's pretty bleached looking, isn't it? So it's a drag under here, and it just keeps dumping it. So, first dump of the day, being successful. All we did was we flashed the software in it. That's the only thing we did. We'll see if that helps. And we turned our propane way, 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 way down. Try to keep it from heating up so fast. It's still a little warm. It's definitely warm to the touch. But we're cooling it for, well, quite a while. 15 minutes cooling time. Most people say that you can drop that down to like a 10-minute cool time and dump it in the dry bin even hotter, providing that you have a fan on, which we do. But I'm like, you know what? It's free heating or free drying when your fan's blowing and your grain's hot. That's just free drying. Like the burner's not on. So we want to take advantage of some free drying, even if it does slow us down. So I am no drying expert, far from it. We are basically just trying to figure out what we're doing. We got a pulley rubbing on there. We gotta address. That pulley's running too close to the auger frame. Those belts are a little loose by the look of it. But it is filling the dryer. You're wondering why we don't have our spout on the top. It's because our bin or dryer is a little too close to each other, and as soon as we elevate the auger, you know, so that we could actually put a spout on it and go into the spout of the dryer, we hit the back of the bin. We hit the bin here. So that's why. So it's loading it and it's offloading it. The burner is not running right now. The wet auger just goes on and off, on and off, on and off. And then we don't actually dump until the whole batch is done, and then out it goes. So this is pretty small. Like these, I believe the batch is like 300 or 330 bushel or something like that. You can do a continuous flow, is what I'm also told. English is hard. But then she's dumping really hot. And then I was told by other people who've done it that you can take the galvanizing off the inside of your hopper bin if you dump that hot. So I'm like, you know what? No, we're just going to spend the extra time, batch dry it, cool her down, and then we're still cooling it with that fan right there. So basically, we are just trying to learn how to dry. And I was told that drying is an art, you guys. It's an art. You're forever changing it. You're always tweaking it. And then you finally get it set how you want it to and bring down how many points, and then your wet dries down and it changes it again. Or you bring in wet that's wider, it's tougher yet, that changes it again. And then you go into canola, it changes it again. Barley changes it again. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Lentils changes it again. Because apparently some crops can take more heat than others, and some are more flammable than others. Some flow differently than others. Makes sense. We gotta get more gravel in this yard. Standing on a pallet now. See? Our burner isn't on. Alright guys. This thing better just keep doing this. And then in theory you can just go to work, do something else, let it run all night. Fill that bin, and it'll take that bin and it will transfer it over there. Depending on how long I'm drying, they say you should be able to move that bin. That's like 7,500 bushels or whatnot in there. Probably take 24 or 30 hours at our current pace to get it over. But it's not like we have a bag full too that we need to get on. We just got this one bin, so we're not gonna speed this up yet too much. Then I was also told by people who dry that if you bring it in super tough, like 25 or greater percent, then you pretty much have to dry it almost twice. Because if you leave it in the dryer, we got this stuff in the dryer for 45 minutes at about 185, 190 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we cool it for 15 minutes and then out you go. So it takes about an hour to do a batch. If you leave it in there too long, then you can start turning it to popcorn, the stuff that's closest to the burner. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to actually heat up our grain or take feed for it because they're like, oh, it's spoiled in the bin. We're like, no, we didn't spoil it in the bin. We just cooked it in the dryer. Now, maybe we're overly cautious, but we're going to remain overly cautious for a while. Okay guys, I'll catch you on the flipper. I think I might go home because there's a 3-day rain coming, so I'm gonna go home. Adios.